Welcome to Her Imprint, part of the Impressions Exchange. I'm Denise Gustafson, your host. This podcast celebrates the remarkable women who are transforming the printing industry. We'll explore their journeys, from challenges to triumphs, and share the stories that leave a lasting imprint. It's my pleasure to introduce Joan Escover. She's president of JP Graphics. So Joan, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. Can you give me a little bit of background about JP Graphics?
Oh, yes, we are a certified women-owned certified green printer here in Santa Clara. We cover the entire realm of printing. I do love me some machines. We do everything from your old letterpress. I have offset presses. I have state-of-the-art digital presses, all the way to a complete bindery. I also have invested in embellishments. So we really do cover the entire realm of printing. And if I don't do it, unfortunately, I'll probably buy a machine. I just love machines.
If you can find a spot, you're going to shove another machine in. Is that
Yes.
basically what I'm hearing?
Yes, that's the truth. If it can do something I can't do, I'm getting it.
Hey, why not? That's how you
Yes.
grow and expand your services, right?
Or if I don't, I have a friend that has it.
Even better. So how did you get started in the industry?
You're going to laugh at this one. When I came out of college, I was a marketing major, Santa Clara, and I ended up working for the CPA. And one of our clients was going out there was this Middle Eastern man that owned a company called Babylon Printing. And every time I would take the accounting over to him, he would say, "You want to work for me? You want to work for me? You want to work for me?" And then finally, I just said, "If you'll let me go back to school, I'll work for you." And I ended up getting accepted into law school. And so I would go to school in the morning, I'd go to work, and then I'd go back to school at night. I had no idea anything about printing, but he says, "Just sell it." I'm like, "What am I selling? I don't even know." And so I actually worked a week in the back. I said, "Can I just work a week in the back and see what happens?" And then I just got into it. I just started picking up the phone and doing what you learned in college, cold calling, sending out packages. And that's how I ended up getting into it. At the time, it was the 8th largest industry in the world. And so it was amazing when I started. It was mostly black and white, but it was truly an eye-opening experience. We were doing all the tech manuals and all that kind of stuff.
But you were working in print and going to school to get a law degree.
Yes.
So you were looking to be a lawyer, I'm guessing?
Yes, I can print those diplomas for you now. Never stop learning. But yes, I can definitely print you some diplomas.
Did you get your final degree as a lawyer?
I
You
did, and
Okay.
I passed the bar. But back in 1990, it was one of the first downturns at the time. I think the highest guy who came out of law school making 60, I was selling for Sun, Hewlett Packard, Sony. So I stayed on, did the marriage and kid thing. And then when his kids started to come on board, I just couldn't deal with his children. And he goes, "Well, fire him." And I'm like, "I'm not firing your kids." And so I ended up starting my own company. I just started out with one press, cutter, and die cutter, but I could sell. And so that was the difference. I could sell.
So you decided not to work for them and you went and started your own company. What year was that?
October 1st, 1998, I opened my first thing. I started out with a small press, an iTech Perfector, an AB Dick, and a paper cutter.
And you just went your own way.
That's it. I just got out there and sold.
What was that?
Without anything that was bigger than I could do. And
It's just interesting because you did go to school to be a lawyer. You passed the bar. But what was it about printing that really kept you interested?
I thought just the time you were doing the marriage and kid thing in sales. And so you could come and go when you're in sales. So you could be that mom. So that's why I stayed on and didn't practice. And actually, I did have it. But once they made you as an attorney have to carry your malpractice, I'm like, oh no, I just let it go. And then I actually just never did go back to the continuing education.
Yes,
Diploma still hangs in my office.
That's important. You have the training.
I'm a big advocate of the trade schools, bringing back the trade schools here. I feel as though we keep pushing degrees, that if you don't have a degree, nothing, if you don't work for Facebook or Google or one of these big companies, that it's lesser. We keep saying to people, you'll make more money if you have it. And I really disagree. We have a lot of unhappy people going to work every day to make money. I'm trying to stress that as a career, it's a very good career to have. It's stable in the sense that if you do a good job, there's work to be had. I'm not saying it's the most highly educated field, but it is artistry. When you have a feeling and you see where it's come and the beautiful work that's done, you will realize that it's a very nice career to have. That's my feeling about it.
And in some cases, when you're looking at like letterpress, that's like a
Oh,
craftsman at this point.
we're losing that craftsman as things get
Yeah.
more or where they're button pushers. But I literally have the older Heidelbergs, and I tell the guys, I said, you don't want to get rid of this press. This is the last one where you can truly move, and you have the console, but yet you have to be a craftsman. You have to be able to register left and right. You can cock your plates and do that kind of stuff. But I would say that this press is bringing the old and new together is really amazing.
Now, for you, was there, besides the point that you didn't want to fire your boss's kids at that point, was there a particular turning point or an aha moment for you that you said, print is my, maybe not calling, but print is really where I want to build my career?
I was quite a good salesperson. I was making quite a bit of money. Back in the day, I was making $300,000 a year. I was making quite a bit of money selling printing. A lot of the tech manuals, we were doing that black and white work. You would barely get a job off the press and they would be reordering another 1,000 books or something like that. So that black and white work where the doc was in the box was great. But I also, the aha moment I would have come where in my career, I actually took the ladies from Sun Microsystems and Cisco, and we went out and had lunch. And these two ladies are talking to each other about how they're going to take the doc out of the box. So no longer when you bought a server, we weren't going to put the documentation into every box. So we didn't need 10,000. If a guy was going to have 20 servers, you'd only get one set of documentation. And as I'm paying for lunch that day, I literally told him, I said, you are going to put a lot of printers out of business, especially the ones I was getting that minor work, but there was US print and something that were truly invested in that one company. And I would say after that day, when you saw that sort of recession and that change to not putting the documentation any longer in the boxes, that really began the demise, I want to say, of the printing industry. I started to move at a time, that first big downturn, the second downturn recession, because I rode the dot-com wave. I got into the business during the dot-com wave. And so I was lucky. You'd be out there telling people, you're wasting a lot of money here on masters, business card masters and all that kind of stuff. But money was very good. So I started at a very good time. And then, of course, when it fell down, that was the end that you're sitting there going, how am I going to pivot or what other companies you're going to do? The Catholic schools, they were printing still. So moving away from tech, maybe going more retail, maybe some trade show stuff. You just saw it coming. I guess when you say, what is the proudest thing you ever, it's really surviving. That I've survived probably 3 or 4 major downturns, and there's a lot of printing companies that aren't survived.
Yeah, you look at the numbers that have gone from when you started your business in the late 90s to now. It's a drastic downturn of people being purchased, people going out of business.
Yeah, that's probably what I'm the most proud of is surviving.
Mm-hmm. Now, something you mentioned earlier about trade schools. Not everybody is built for college,
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly.
but yet on the trade schools, there's a decline.
Yes, and I will advocate that. I'm part of the chambers and things like that. And when the politicians and that will come speak, I will speak up and say, here you're closing schools or you're having that. Why are we forcing a mom to have to take the kid from a nursery school, drop one kid off there, and then the elementary school is there? Why are we not turning these schools or instead of closing them down, turning them into daycare centers and preschools? And you could have that one drop-off space as you go through. I'll also advocate if you're turning this school down, why aren't we bringing back the trade profession? But I think even more so with that, I think the industry needs to come out. And I know the VMA hears a lot from me. And I'll tell HP, and I'm like, why do I have to send somebody to Alpharetta, Georgia to get the person trained on the machine? Why aren't you offering scholarships so that people could go there and learn this trade? You guys, whether you're Canon, whether you're there, let the people come over with that certificate and now come to me and say, I'm a certified HP operator. And I think we need to change it back to going back where the manufacturers of the equipment are out there offering people to be trained on them such that we have the employees to do it.
Yeah, I remember even growing up in school, in junior high school, we actually had shop class where I
Yes.
learned how to set type. I learned how to use engraving machines. I learned how to use some tools as well, woodworking tools or other things. We had a one color press in our junior high school. But
Yeah.
then a lot of those programs have gone away.
I did. I actually bought for the Center of Employment Training, CET, used to have a print room, and I actually ended up getting some of their equipment when they closed down.
Yeah, and the question is, we're struggling to get younger people into the industry, but then we're not talking to them when they're starting to make those decisions about what they want to be when they grow up.
That's correct.
And you think about it, people, oh, I want to be firefighter, I want to be a policeman, or they get involved with other things and, oh, I'm going to go get my master's or my business degrees or whatnot. That's something that has introduced to them somewhere. It's not like somebody as a kid is, I want to grow up to be a financial person. You don't have that. You also don't have that, I want to grow up to be a printer, unless you may have a family that's been in printing.
I actually had to learn that today too, with even my own guys. As places closed and you inherited these pressmen too. And what I realized that they didn't even know the machines. It was mind boggling to me when it would take our holiday party. How did you get into the business? And they would ask. Well, I found out that so many of these guys, like the head pressman, they started out, hey, I need a job. Okay, we'll start you out as being a feeder. We'll teach you. And then one day the male operator would fire the guy, the head pressman, and he'd look at the feeder and say, can you run the press? And what does the guy say? Yeah, I can. But they can't. And they won't admit it. And so I found myself actually here telling the repair guys, what is it? These guys don't know the machine. And they finally said, yeah, no, Joan, this guy needs some training. So let's start getting the training in there. And I think you'll see a lot of my guys here now really say, I've never learned printing except from you bringing the guys on, because I'd go out there. I bought every one of these machines. So I knew exactly the min, the max, what's the sheet size, what could I bring it out to? So when I was buying the machine, I knew exactly what the machine could do.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, having a guy that couldn't get what the machine could do, right? And I was like, there's no reason why. But I love to learn. But so many, you were talking about the men and the people in the industry, I don't think they come out and say, maybe you thought I didn't know. I truly don't know how to turn on the lights half in my building. I don't know how to operate many of the machines here, but at the same time, I know exactly what that machine can do.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what makes it about, no, you shouldn't have any problems with this. What's the issue? And so I would go learn the hard way. I'd call up a friend and say, why would this happen? Okay, you just do this or check the grain or check this. And so I began to learn because I love to learn. Why couldn't I do this? It doesn't make sense. So that was one of the reasons why I pushed on this thing. And during COVID, I took that as an opportunity with the PPP funds, because I wouldn't be around if it hadn't been for some of that, and really put SOPs on all the machine and cross-trained. I used that money to cross-train. So it was being those kind of wiser decisions where I was saying, would you like to learn more? And a lot of times they don't come out and ask, but they do. They want to go run a letter or a die cutter or something like that. And when you tell them, would you like to learn? And they say yes. And so then you've got to put in that training program. But your guys, if they were never trained, how are they going to be the trainer?
Yeah.
So that's it. That was interesting. I said, it's like teaching a class. So I have the letterpress guy. I do a lot of videos now. And so I have a letterpress job that's coming in that's truly letterpressed and then foil stamped. It's a wedding invitation. It was very nice. And I told him, I said, here's what I want you to do. I want everything laid out on the table, like you're a surgeon. And all of your papers, you don't start a surgery until you have everything there ready to go. And I said, this is how I want you to teach this person I'm going to give you. You're going to be teaching this, and we're going to get video of it all. mostly to put out there that, hey, we do letterpress. It's amazing. But I want that also to be captured as saying, look, this is the materials there, but you have to have it all ready. You want the A7 envelopes, the A6s, the A2s, get all the letterpress stocks for inside this fancy wedding invitation. And then let's begin the teaching. And so it's working, even when I get a new guy in the back and they'll want to do the multi-binders. And I said, guys, don't send a guy home when we're slow or something like that. You don't have enough work. Quit getting that in the mindset. Change the mindset to be, what do I do when I don't have any work? And that's when you begin the training. So I said, keep all your extra sheets and have it set up that you have your 11/17s, maybe your 10 by 13s for a 6 by 9 and a 5.5, 8.5. And when a guy is slow, you just tell him, go practice. Go practice. We need that next guy to come up. Who's going to do your job when you're not here? And I don't think there's a lot of that in our industry.
Mm-hmm.
I too have a pressman right now that he came to me and asked, can I work for me part-time? He's got 3 young children. His wife's getting his master's degree and he has to work 2 jobs. And I said, okay, sure, no problem. So he would come and work at me in 6:30 in the morning, and then he'd actually leave about 11 to go. And he was driving all the way to Sacramento, which was craziness. And then he got let go right after election season. And so he came over to me and he says, Joan, anyway, I said, no, what we're going to do is we're going to teach you, and I'm going to, and I use the word pimp you out, but I'm going to train you to get in. I'm going to call my friends, the ones that I like to do business with. And I sent him over there. I said, this guy picked up my Heidelberg very quickly. I said, he can run it now. And I said, so let's go to the Ryobi. I need you to go learn the Ryobi. There's 5 people around here that all have Ryobi presses. So I talked to him. I said, go teach him. This guy picks it up quick. So he's already running the Ryobis over there. And then I said, okay, now I'll take you as the backup. So wherever the guy's got work for you full time, I'll take you as the backup and I'll teach you. So I need to teach you letterpress because then I'm going to use the word pimp you out to people that need letterpress or they got a guy working. I said, I'll teach you the folders. I'll come teach you. And now I even said, what about the I will send you to Alpharetta, Georgia, because I need a backup operator for my HP. And so I just upgraded to the 15,000 and they gave me 2 more. You get to just send 2 more people over there. So I told him, he goes, yeah, I'd love it. And I said, believe me, if you know how to run this HP, now you're invaluable to a lot of us here. That's been my philosophy, that we have to share and really help the people. That guy, and most people go, no, it's my way or the highway. And I'm like, well, we're going to teach you so that you'll be valuable to me at anything I need and loyal to me. When I need you, you're going to be for me first.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of been
you spent the time and the money to train them, to get them to their skills set, and to really help them.
And even at their other jobs, I said, there's a guy that actually, he works for another company and comes in here and helps me at night for my mailing. And when I told him, I said, would you like to learn, if this guy's coming in here at night, would you like to learn the letterpress too? And he goes, oh, I love it. And I said, you'll be more valuable at your company. They have Kluges over there too. So I'll teach you when we don't have the mailing, and let's get in so you're more valuable to each other. And I think that's one of the reasons why people do like me out here, is that I'm just like crazy about, let's get together. Let's stop being competitors and just help each other. I still help the Minuteman presses, and most people wouldn't even help us. I said, no, we need them. If you don't have them, how are you going to get your big job? So we need them to stay afloat, because we don't want to be doing the 500 little jobs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when they
really on those,
but when they sell that job that might be bigger, you have to be willing to help them to do that. So I do, like, I cut and glue for a Minuteman press. I got a job that just came in yesterday, and I just sit there and go, no problem. I'll take it. It's fine to me. Mm-hmm. Because I think we do. And so many people won't do it. And I even told HP, I said, you got to let the people know that they have a backup with you, or you're going to lose out, because if they don't know that there's somebody out there that they can get their work done with.
How do you make those relationships with the people that you, in a way, you compete against for some jobs, I'm guessing? How do you make those relationships, and how do you make those relationships work?
So funny. I'm just one of those people that it's hard. I would show up at a Landsberg or something like that for die cutting and gluing, and the other guys would show up there too. And I remember the owner from CMYK, we actually rode up in the elevator together to the sales meeting. And I think the first time he ever saw me, he was just like, "Who are you? And why are you invading my territory?" And I just come out, and I give this. But later on, we're walking out, and I'm like, "Oh, hey, how are you doing? What do you got over there?" And so I'm just this crazy girl that doesn't care about money and more curious about you. What do you got over there? And what do you do? And eventually I just said, we're not competitors at all. The work you do is nowhere near what I'm trying to get from these guys. And once they see that we're not competitors, that we're really, I have my niche, I'm out there saying, hey, you know what? Take this to CMYK. This job belongs over there. Or to Spectrum Litho. He's got a 52-inch press. Send it over there. So I become like a little, I'm going to call it a little mama bear, where people, they come to me and say, what is this? And I said, okay, no, this doesn't fit me. You should send it here. And that's where you have to be. Instead of just saying no, you just don't. Even when these young sales guys will come in, say from a office, Shamrock Copiers or something like that, most guys would never walk out there and go out there. And I always go out there and I show them around. And I said, I'm not doing office copiers, but I'm going to show you around, because that person may not last at that office copiers. It's hard, right? You're one and done, right? You got to move on. But once you get into like print sales, it's like a snowball, right? So you get this account and they move on. It's a better sales thing. So you want to welcome them into the industry and say, it's a great industry to get into. And so I always walk them around, and I'm always very gracious about telling them, oh, where did you go to school, or how'd you get there? And a lot of people this was my first job I was offered. But I do take the time where you would never catch a business owner going out there. I'll always walk out there and welcome you in to go around and see the shop, because you do get a chance here to see everything. And yeah.
How do we do a better job of trying to get those new people into the industry?
I get myself in a lot of trouble here. I tell even the VMA and people like that, you'll find them going out and giving these scholarships out to the people that really probably are the owner's sons that are going out to Cal Poly. And just to give you an example, what happened recently, I take part in these internship programs where the city of San Jose, they actually give you these juniors and seniors are in school, and they pay them hours. It's called a work to thing. And they don't come over here, and I say, yeah, let's do it. We'll take it on. I let them do some social media, or I'll ask them what would they like to see and do. So this one young boy, he actually works here now. He worked here. He was just okay. He would do some interviews and some social media and that. And then he is gone. A couple of years later, he sends me an email, and he says, Joan, could I come work for you? I got accepted into the design program in San Jose State. Could I come work for you while I go to school over there? I said, not only can you work for me, but we're going to get you some scholarships with the VMA. And so I went out there and I told the VMA, I said, how does he apply? How does he get there? And so he has been given some things. But I would argue that we need to give these scholarships in the tech schools, in the lesser schools, as opposed to going after the Cal Poly, right? We keep going after, they're not going at 4 years in college to come run a press.
Yeah.
They're not. But you really want to get them when they're at the junior colleges. And so even my in-house design girl that I have here, Mission College had a program, and she asked if she could bring the people over here. And so I walked them to the shop, and I talked about printing, and we got in the conference room afterwards, and I said, okay, I'm going to teach you guys the most important thing you are as designers. I'm going to teach you something that I don't think they get a lot, is what happens when I convert from PMS to CMYK. I don't think anybody gets that at all. And so I said, I'm going to show you what this book is, because you as designers are out there designing, and you come up with this great orange color, and it's fantastic, right? Sell it off to the guy. And then the president goes over there and says, I need to take this over. They take it to a FedEx Kinko's, or they take it somewhere, and it looks like puke. And I said, the printer's to blame. They're always going to blame us, of course, because that's the last touch, right? And so I said, you need to know what you're doing with that logo or whatever you've created Is it going on shirts? Is it going on cups? Is it going on a piece of paper? And so I began to show them that. And then this one then she started coming back over here and she goes, can I come and intern with you? And I sent him over to my pre-press guy. And of course he did nothing. And finally she comes back again. And I just said, I'm done. If you're this persistent, we're taking you on no matter what. And I just went an executive decision. I said, okay, here you are. So she is the sweetest, nicest girl that she's from India. And it's really good. Just a good person that's there and amazing. That was it. That's how she met me, was just letting people come in and do that stuff. So
That's sometimes half the battle, is getting people to actually know that the positions or the industry is actually here.
I think we lost a lot of that with Forover and Vistaprint when things were going so much online. And I actually do get on the cases of, I want to call the people selling the machines, they're selling the machine to the print owner, and they need to go back to selling it to the design community. And they need to buy into this machine that does dimensional UV or sleeking foils, and do it so that they know what they're looking for. And then they find a person that's got that machine. When I bought my Duplo, I loved it. It was like, oh, this is cool. I got to have it. Nobody taught anybody how to design to it. And I literally had to go out there and go, guys, give me some of this marketing material. Let me do some of my own marketing material to show people what dimensional it can feel like a basketball. And so I did some promo stuff. Even they were like, oh, they just don't think about that.
And it's interesting. I spoke with someone who is in the design side. So she's head of the graphic designers. I forgot what company she's with. But so she came up through the design side, designing various things. But the one thing she said that they actually didn't teach was actually the integration with print, actually how to do the bleeds, how to print, how to make sure that what on screen is printed correctly. And she goes, she had to learn all of that at work. So she actually had to learn all of that on the job, which I thought was very interesting, because you figure that the graphic design folks, that would be one of the things that they would definitely teach in those schools, is how to design for print.
Right. They kind of get zip up the files for production ready. But it even goes back to the guy selling the presses. One of my favorite ones, Xerox. Oh gosh, he comes over here. His name is Bob. Because I have the Iridescent. I consider I have everything, one of everything. I'm like Angelina Jolie. I love it. Tell me why I should have another child. Why should I get this machine? Is it something I can't do already? And the Iridescent, I put in my first one, and they would invite you to come to the events. But they didn't realize, so I have the HP2, and I'm like, okay, guy, you don't even know what you have here. And one night, he comes out, he's taking me out. We've been drinking and everything, and they were doing an event up in Palo Alto. And I said, you guys keep coming over here with the same paper. You show me it on 14.C2S, and you show your metallic silver, and you show the gold. I said, you don't know that the reason why this press is better than the other ones is because of its ability to hit more ink and onto the Sundance felt. And I said, so I think what you need to do is go around. I said, let me get you the papers that you need to show tomorrow. And we're here at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. I'm going around cutting him these papers we could take up there. He even still tells everybody to this day how we just walked around. I said, you go take this up there and you will sell more machines. I've sold more of these iridescents than anybody. Because the machine can handle those uncoated stocks. It doesn't have to be a treated paper. It can hit with multiple. Do you know that this can duplex a 6-pager, a 13 by 29 inch? It can duplex in line. And I said, you guys need to sell this portion, that this is what it can do, that most people don't realize that's the varying factor. Everyone. And so he laughs to this day, and I've sold more of the machines than anybody, but it's one of my favorite children here. But I love little too. It's like,
You love the technology, don't you?
I think when you know what it can do, and then you see it done, it's fantastic. Another time I had a company, it was Oscar Printing, and he was in South San Francisco. And he's coming over here thinking I was going to help him. And we went and had lunch. And he starts to tell me, I said, how do you do this laminate? He goes, Joan, it's just this little glue laminator and blah, blah, blah. Next thing I'm like, what? And then I asked him again. I said, what about doing the painted edges? And he told me that what he does is he gets like the girls that do the nails. And he goes, Joan, but you have to use this. I said, I'm not going to ever get into that. I did it once for Tesla. And I said, I'm done. I'm never going to do this again. But it was fascinating when you sit there and you listen to go, this guy thought he was coming to me. And I walked away that day. I literally bought this little tabletop glue laminator. It's amazing. I can glue 2 sheets of paper together, create twice as much stuff. And this guy just took a picture back of the shop. And I was like, wow, it's awesome. But that's the thing. You have to be willing to learn and see what these little teeny machines can change. Nobody else can do it. Only the big guys. I'm like, oh, I can solve for that problem. Just glue these 2 sheets together. We can figure that out.
But you have a love and an excitement and a passion for the technology and the industry. It shows through.
Money isn't what drives me. It's getting into the greatest parties of all time. I'm not a success, but I do love my job. I've gone to some pretty good parties because I've done the invitations for them. I do. I admit it.
So if you were just starting out, this is one of my favorite questions that I ask as in the conclusion, is if you were just starting out in the industry today, knowing what you know now, so all the things that you've learned in building your business and all the technology, what advice would you give yourself?
Buy the machine that differentiates you from everyone else so that you're not spending your time fighting for a 10-cent piece of paper. Find that machine that changes the conversation and says, this is a form of communication and how can you do it better? So find the machine that nobody else has and then get out there and show why it's better, why that this is better. And I think that's the thing that I always tell people, you don't need me until you need me. If you want to just go get some copies, you're not going to come to me. But when you can't get this thing done or it's 18 by 24, so I help even some of the bigger guys. I say, you can do this over there. All you have to do is buy this leaking foil. Why? We can just get you to do it. Okay, I'll help you because you're a good guy. But then other times, if that's all you're giving me is the hard jobs, after a while, like this price is so high, I get them. But that's only because that's not what is reciprocal, right? Mm-hmm. You only give me the hard jobs that nobody else does, and you give the other guys the good stuff, right? The one that's, I have that feeling. But yeah, I would say that's the thing. Find out what differentiates you and get out there and sell that.
It's good advice for any business.
Yeah, and then just have friends. You've got a house of friends. Can I take it over there when I need this? Sure, no problem. And share it back and forth. But I would definitely tell somebody that.
And take the time to develop those relationships so that way you have that network of folks that you can go to.
Yeah, your machine goes down. You better have a backup. You'll have to have a backup.
Or else.
Oh, yeah. I even tell my own guys, sometimes you just don't understand that just because the machine went down doesn't make that job not due. That trade show's happening, whether you like it or not. You had better get that job done. You put it on another machine, or let's get somebody to help us with it. And so that's been the philosophy that a lot of people don't get that. When you've told somebody it's there, when is this due and why, you really have to abide by that. And if something goes down, that doesn't mean you just tell them no. I had a problem just the other day with FedEx. And they dropped one box. There were these bags for a trade show that was happening. One box got taken somewhere else. And I told my guys, you guys got to get in touch with the FedEx because the promo guy sent it on their dime. And I can't talk to FedEx, right? It's on their dime. And my guys, it'll turn out. Don't do anything. Well, Monday comes, they don't have it. Tuesday is the beginning of the trade show. And finally somebody says, the FedEx driver said, I think it showed up over at Macy's. It's over at Macy's, Valley Fair. And I literally get on the phone and go, does anybody care? Does anybody care? Oh, we delivered the 400. I said, guys, do you not care? I get on the phone with FedEx and they won't talk to me. I said, just act like you care. Give me your email address so I can show my client that I'm trying, right? So I get over there and I send an email out with everybody on it and say, look here, if this bag shows up, let me know. I'll go pick it up. And So even one of my employees takes the message. I was on a Zoom call and it took him. I said, "Are you kidding me? You heard how important this was." I go out, get out the phone number. I said, I call her up and I left a message. She wasn't there. And I gave it to my driver. I said, "Miguel, you go out there, you pick this box up and you take it up to the city. You have to show that you care enough to do it." And that guy wasn't very happy, saying, "Sorry, FedEx screwed up." That's exactly. You have to care. You have to at least show that you tried very hard to do it. And I think sometimes people just don't get that right now. That what was the backup plan? But they thanked me beyond belief. And my guys even billed it short. And as soon as I got it up there, I said, "No, I want them to bill for the 100 bags back on there." I lost a fortune going and picking it up there and driving it up to the city twice. The fact of the matter is this client now knows that we care.
And they'll reorder from you, and they'll talk to you. And
once a year they have this one conference, and that's it. But at the same time, it was a promo bag, but that's something I can't control, right? And that's why I don't know when you lose that little bit of control. But that's it.
But you'll keep the client either way. Joan, it was awesome to chat with you today. I really appreciate the time.
Anytime. Let's go change the world. I think you has to go to change the world, and we just have to get them to think differently, right? It's not just about money. It's a form of communication, and we have to get it back to how can we communicate better? That's it.
I think you're right.
Someday I'm going to be something, just not today.
Oh, I think you are definitely something, Joan.
It's my tagline.
Good to know. And thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Anytime. Thank you. It was very nice talking to you.
Thank you for joining us on this journey to celebrate and amplify the voices of women in the printing industry. If you have a story to share or know someone whose journey deserves to be highlighted, we'd love to hear from you. Together, let's continue inspiring and empowering the next generation of leaders. Until next time, keep leaving your imprint. This is Her Imprint. See you soon.